Hey everybody, it's Derek here. We're going to take a look at the news from the 30th of August to the 5th of September 2021. So EA Motive had a early look at the new Dead Space remake, remaster, whatever way you want to look at it. So they started off by just giving you a kind of quick walkthrough of an early pre-production development build, which is a way of saying this shit ain't ready yet. Just to kind of show off kind of the additional layers of detail they've put on the old map. So it looks like the remake or remaster, whatever way you want to think about it, is basically it's using the old or the original game's map layout, so it hasn't changed it really at all. And they're just putting on like additional layers of detail, additional graphical fidelity, and so on. You can see the characters' animations aren't quite ironed out yet, and that kind of thing. Like the game is still very like pre-production, as they pointed out. They're still just testing stuff before they start to go ahead and implement a bunch of things. So they did a quick run through of some of the different environments. I think they do a side-by-side at some point. I'm just going to skip ahead here for a bit. Fill for time. So they did a side-by-side there. So like at the top, OG Dead Space. At the bottom, the same position, same location in-game. The new one that's also not finished yet, you know? So it could potentially get even more bells and whistles and so on put on top of each other. Then they went through a bit of like concept art, like using the original game's concept art, and then trying to sort of match up the remake to that instead, like the original game would have tried, but you know, graphical limitations or console platform limitations, they weren't quite able to reach it. So the hope is with like the remake, remaster, whatever, that they'll be able to reach the concept art levels of lighting and graphical fidelity and so on. I want to get to the bit where they start to talk about the new enemy rigging. Okay, so they sort of go into it here, but basically they have the guns are kind of set up, sort of working, animations and so on, not finished yet, still pre-production, yada yada yada. What they want to do with the necromorphs is basically add a layer of skinning to the creatures, or like a peeling effect. So you would have seen this in like the newer God of War, where enemies take damage and their skin and muscle and bone gets exposed over time and so on. They're kind of gonna be doing the same route with the necromorphs in this, in that the plasma cutter, the original gun that you can actually finish the entire game with just using that gun, was pretty much used to just detach limbs. And if you're not familiar, in a Dead Space lore and game mechanics, the only way to kill the enemies is to lop off their limbs, pretty much. Headshots do nothing to them because there's nothing in their head. Parasites are all in the limbs or something like that. So what they want to make it here is that all the different guns will have like different effects on creature, rather than them all being used to separate limbs or whatever. Like what they have here is the assault rifle gun. I forget what it's actually called. This does a lot of like heavy flesh damage, but does like 0 damage to bone, or it takes forever to do anything to the bone or something like that. So you would, swap out, you'd use the assault rifle to tear off the flesh until it exposes the bone, then swap to the plasma cutter to lop the bone off, basically. Although, having rewatched this now, the plasma cutter seems to do a good enough job by itself. He just shot him right in the dick. Alright, anyway. Basically, the assault rifle will have a lot of ammo, but doesn't do a whole lot of damage to the necromorph, and won't really be able to separate limbs, but the plasma cutter can, but it has less ammo and that kind of thing. So giving you more of a reason to actually change weapons instead of just sticking with the plasma cutter for the whole game, which is what I ended up doing. But there was also a trophy for it, so I can't be faulted, can I? There was more to the presentation, but to be perfectly honest, they went through some changes to zero gravity. This is them just showing off the skinning effect, so you could see that like there is an underlying skeleton, and that will get exposed, damage over time, like that kind of thing. But it will have an actual gameplay aspect to it, as opposed to God of War, as it just look nice. Well, look horrible, but you know what I mean. Graphically, it looked good. And then they went into like some of the changes they're making to the 0G sections. Isaac will be able to navigate much smaller environments, because there have been much greater improvements in collision detection and the consoles themselves are like just much better at handling those things quickly. Like it's not a bottleneck anymore for them. So Isaac will be able to kind of loop around inside Zero G, and it won't be such an ordeal like it was in the original game. There's a bit where they just pull him through a corridor here. Like this kind of thing, you'd never be able to do it in the original, just because you just wouldn't have the fine control to be able to do it. But apparently it'll be possible now in the remake. How much they're actually going to change the game then to accommodate that, I don't know. Like they've been very kind of clear that they're pretty much just using the original map. So like we don't know how many additional things they're going to add. If they're even adding any additional things, is the Zero G entirely optional? We don't know. And the last thing was, I think they just announced that Isaac's voice actor for the second and third game. So Isaac isn't voiced in the first game. He's entirely silent. Yeah, so Gunnar Wright will be reprising his role, but obviously Isaac doesn't talk in Dead Space 1, so what's going on? Why did we have to bring the voice actor back? So Isaac will talk during NPC interactions. So it was always kind of weird that Isaac didn't respond to anybody. Like they ask questions and it's just the NPCs talking to each other and giving Isaac commands pretty much. That was always kind of weird, especially when he got so chatty in Dead Space 2 and 3. It just seemed really odd that he wasn't so chatty in Dead Space 1. So they've changed it now so that Isaac will pretty much be silent almost entirely for gameplay, like the original. But in situations where NPCs are talking or whatever, he will respond and say things. Potentially the script will, I guess, change as well, so it's probably not going to be the same dialogue from the first game. And I think that was it. They just sort of wrapped it up there and said, yeah, it's going to be great, and we're still really early in production. This is just them highlighting that we're not going to make him super chatty, because that was kind of an appeal of Dead Space 1, is that you were by yourself, and having characters kind of talk during kind of horror games diminishes the horror. And they don't want that. They want to keep the horror at the high level, which basically means it's you. It's just you. Isaac isn't there. You're controlling Isaac. You know, he's not going to be talking back. And that was pretty much it. If you want to listen to them like talk over a bit and like give their approach, they go into like how, you know, they're fans of the original and they don't want to change too much and so on. It's a good presentation. Check out, but you've seen basically all that they showed. It wasn't much, but it's interesting to get such an early look at at a game. It's kind of rare. They usually wait until they're a bit more polished, and it's usually, like, it's very rare to see gameplay in a pre-production build. So that's interesting, and it's strange for EA to do something like that. If anyone wasn't going to do it, it would have been them. Okay. Moving on, Midnight Suns also had a presentation, so Marvel and Firaxis had a presentation on how Midnight Suns is going to play, what the actual gameplay will be, how much is it like XCOM, how little is it like XCOM. So this is a trailer highlighting the gameplay. The actual presentation is much longer. They go into a much deeper dive on it. So feel free to check that out. I don't have a link for it myself. It's on the internet somewhere. I'm sure you'll find it if you're very much interested. This trailer kind of just cuts out all the talking parts, more or less, and kind of condenses them, and you get a kind of brief idea of how the game is going to play. So it looks like it's a bit of a mix of this kind of Marvel roommates sort of thing, where you're hanging out in this location called the Abbey, and there's a bunch of different Marvel characters there, and you can like interact with them, improve your relationship with them, build up their skills, and so on. That's kind of like one half of the game, which is just navigating this rather large hub world, the Abbey. And then the second half of the game is obviously going out on missions and that kind of thing, which is what this second part will pretty much show off here. So the game's not XCOM. It's not like an isometric tactical RPG kind of thing, unfortunately. That's not to say it isn't like a strategy type thing. The game plays, it has a mix of basically, it's kind of like a deck builder for like a massive party. So you have a starting deck randomized at the beginning of battle, and you use that deck to use different abilities, and depending on which characters are in your lineup, you'll get those cards and so on. The better you improve your relationship with those characters, they get more cards, basically. They can do more stuff. It doesn't show that it's... We haven't seen any kind of like navigation or traversal stuff during missions, so it's not clear if you have like, you know, XCOM's cover aspect or like its grid-based system or anything like that, so it's not clear if that happens, or if it's a like closer to a turn-based RPG where you have all of your guys on one side and all of their guys on one side and you take turns smacking each other about the place. We don't know yet. There is going to be another showcase Tuesday, I think, September 7th, where they'll show off an actual mission. Your custom character plus Wolverine taking on Sabretooth, and I imagine his cronies or whatever. There it is there. So there'll be an actual thing on September 7th, so we'll probably have more to say at next week's recap. Okay, so it's the start of a new month, so that means we have new monthly games. So we have first PlayStation Plus. This is Overcooked All You Can Eat Edition, which is the original Overcooked with all of its expansions and so on. This is for PS5. There have been a bunch of updates, haptic feedback, you know, all that stuff to take advantage of the DualSense controller and all that shenanigans. But I'm sure you're familiar with Overcooked, but just in case you're not, Overcooked is a party game where you and a bunch of friends, or just you if you're really boring and have no friends, race against the clock to make meals for people and get them out the door in all sorts of sort of chaotic maps and shenanigans happening, you know, having to try to stay on top of keeping things cooking, moving them about the place, getting stuff cleaned, having to use flamethrowers to cook food and so on, weird boss fights and that kind of thing. It's extremely chaotic in multiplayer, and I can imagine it's probably it's a bit of like an IKEA for like couples kind of thing. Overcooked has the same idea of you just sort of shouting at each other and possibly ruining relationship. But you can do that for free now on PS5. So Overcooked is one game. That's the PS5 game for PS Plus. Then we have yes, I'm an old man. First of the first, 1960. Yeah, oldest man on the planet. Okay. So Predator Hunting Grounds is a asymmetric multiplayer game. So think of something like Dead by Daylight, where instead of one of you being a slasher villain, you are instead the Predator. And the other characters are various military dudes. And they have their own objectives to complete, you know, taking out NPCs, you know, they have their own PvE stuff. Whereas the Predator is, of course, just trying to kill you. So, Predator is... excuse me. Predator is obviously much better outfitted. You know, he's got his plasma caster, combi stick, net, the disc thing. I forget what the disc is called. It's not a glaive, that's blade. I don't know. I think it has a name, but I forget what it is. Anyway. He's got all his different vision modes, you know, active camouflage, all that kind of thing, and you've got a gun. Good luck. I've seen a couple of, not LPs exactly, because it's not exactly a game you can LP, but I've seen a couple of, like, matchups. There's a lot of different, like, DLC things going on with Predator. It looks interesting. To me, it looks like, the Predator is actually not as overpowered as you might think, and often loses matches. I don't know if that's changed now that, like, people have found the game and are like, this is my game, so I'm just going to play it, like they do with Dead by Daylight or Left 4 Dead or, you know, that kind of thing. You find the game you want and you just play the shit out of it, and you get good at it. When I was watching it, it would have been right when the game came out, basically. So I imagine that the skill level has gone up. And then the last one is Hitman 2. When you're ready. Hitman 2. This is Sean Bean's cameo appearance. It's a kind of a weird one to use for a trailer. Okay, there's not a whole lot in that trailer, I guess, but I'm sure you know what Hitman is. It's a sandbox assassination type thing where you try to kill people in inventive ways and, you know, go for a decent score or try to do it without being caught, or try to do it entirely in your suit without changing clothes and that kind of thing. The newer Hitman trilogy of games are very, very good, and they do have this great thing where they port across the maps from the previous games and bring them into the newer entry in the series, and they port back or backport the changes in game mechanics and stuff that have come along the way. So if you have Hitman 1 already, you can get Hitman 2 for free on PlayStation Plus, and then I think there is a small, I'm not going to say small because I don't actually know the price, but there is a kind of pack you can get to port the Hitman 1 maps into Hitman 2 and get all of that. So you can get like 2 games, kind of. Or you could just get Hitman 3 and do the same thing there, but you wouldn't get it for free, I suppose. Okay, so that was PlayStation, and then we have games with gold. So this is Xbox Deliverance for... Deliverance? I don't know. Games with gold for September. So we've got Warhammer Chaos Bane, we've got some game I've never heard of, Mulaka, Zone of the Enders HD Collection, and Samurai Showdown 2. So this is Chaos Bane, I think. It's a sort of isometric, kind of dungeony crawler type thing, 4-player co-op. It's a bit Diablo, but in the Warhammer universe. Haven't heard much about it. Mulaka, I know absolutely nothing about. Do they have no gameplay? Is that why they're just... Okay, right. So it's a kind of action-adventure type deal set in... I don't know. I know I've never even heard of this game, so I have honestly no idea what it's about. Then Zone of the Enders HD Collection. So Zone of the Enders, PS3, Xbox 360 title. Cool mech combat. Zone of the Enders 1 is a bit clunky, but Zone of the Enders 2, the second runner, is a very good game. And then Samurai Showdown is a fighter. This is a kind of port of a fairly old Capcom title. I think it's Capcom. I'm actually not sure, to be honest. Samurai Showdown never really got the fanfare like something like Street Fighter and those kind of games got, but it's a decent title. Anyway, that's games with gold. And then new releases this week. First up, we have KeyWe, which looks like a kind of fun sort of slapstick management sim. So you are 2 Kiwis, hence the name, trying to man a post office. So you've got like different game mechanics of you trying to get the post out, trying to like write letters and stuff, but you're like just tiny Kiwis trying to go about your business. It kind of feels like most of the fun is just you rocking about the place as these tiny creatures, just trying to do things that they're absolutely not supposed to be doing. And it's a bit kind of arcade fun times. I don't imagine there's much storyline to it, but whatever. And then we have Apsulov, which is a PC Switch title. Apsulov is kind of a horror title, so it's a bit of a narrative first-person walk-about-the-place game. It's set in the far future, but also in Norse mythology. Kind of weird thing. I think it's kind of relying on the idea that magic is just technology we haven't discovered yet, sort of thing. So way into the future, man delves deeper into the earth and finds the gods, more or less, finds the Norse gods, and they're rocking about the place. And now that you've unearthed them, they're gonna start fucking things up. Which is the kind of deal. Doesn't look like there's any actual gameplay. Very, very small amount of gameplay right at the end there. I guess you'll have an idea of what type of game you're looking at there. That thing's pretty fucked up. Okay, anyway, that's Apsulov. I saw a very brief playthrough of it a good while ago. It looked interesting, but I don't like stealthy horror, so I don't know if I'll actually have a look at it. Okay, so it's time to tackle the worst parts of the video game industry. Okay, so industry bullshit. So Twitch streamers have staged a walkout today, which was September 1st, was Wednesday, to protest inaction over harassment. So you may be familiar with the DayOffTwitch campaign which is going about, which is pushed by these 3 streamers and a number of others, but primarily by them. The idea is to boycott Twitch and to kind of put pressure on them to take more action to deal with hate raids and harassment and racism and all the shit stuff you see on streaming and streaming communities. So they promoted that for Wednesday, September 1st. Twitch kind of released a statement on the day. This is a whole bunch of shit that they're like, this is terrible and we definitely shouldn't allow these kind of things to happen on our platform, and we'll definitely do better, you guys. Just don't check on us ever, because we're actually doing fucking nothing. Anyway, it's a bunch of corporate shit that nobody believes. So there was some question on whether or not this boycott would do anything, because the people promoting it are not necessarily super big Twitch streamers, and the streamers who would be like the well-known names in the sphere anyway, or in that community, weren't going to boycott it because it's where they make their money. They kind of want to keep a good relationship with Twitch. So there was some worry, I guess, that this wasn't like, it's not going to have a huge impact and Twitch isn't going to give a shit. So a DayOffTwitch campaign drops viewership. So there was some drop. It's debatable if it was like a decent enough one. So with the DayOffTwitch protest over, people were able to go back and sort of compare and analyze, like, you know, viewership numbers, how many streams were being run, how many people were watching, and so on. So a couple of different sites came back with some different numbers. So they've seen an average viewership decline between 7% and 12%. This is based off the same time last month. And then another site that does week by week kind of thing. So a week over week drop of 16% in hours viewed on Twitch. Just based off the September 1st boycott. But again, that's a weekly thing. It's not entirely because of just September 1st, but 16%, like, it's pretty big. But there's some mention here that since the hours watched on Twitch on the 1st of September were down about 7 to 14% compared to the previous 4 Wednesdays, it's tough to say if that impact was streamers taking the day off or just a slow day. I don't know, 14% seems pretty big. Some question whether or not a protest would be effective. It's safe to say it was effective based on the larger conversation it started. So the idea being that even if it didn't impact Twitch a whole lot, like, double digits is pretty bad for, like, when you're talking such a large data set, like millions. That's pretty bad, like. But the idea that it would have generated conversation in the press is of more interest to activists and protesters, that they got people like Kotaku or IGN or whoever to, like, have press about it, to put it out into Twitter, to put it out into, like, Resetter or wherever, like, people were talking about it. So, like, it's highlighted it, and it sort of did its job. It may not have had, like, a massive effect, but I think they're generally happy that it did a decent enough job. In March, Twitch released its first global transparency report, which showed that less than 15% of user reports led to enforcement actions. It also showed that 2% of reports against harassment and hateful conduct led to action, i.e. Twitch aren't doing anything. This is why there's a boycott in the first place. Last year, games industry ran an extensive report talking about how basically Twitch don't care. They just don't care about the hate raid stuff. And this is to be highlighted back with, we've been building ban evasion detection and account improvements and so on. The thing is, it's made no material difference, clearly. Okay. Moving on, so Take-Two continue their latest run of just suing the shit out of anybody who tries anything with Grand Theft Auto. A lot of people are thinking that this is based on Take-Two getting ready to re-release the GTA 3 trilogy, if you like. GTA 3, Vice City, San Andreas. They're going to be doing remasters or remakes of them. probably remasters because those games are pretty big, but I don't know, it could be. Anyway, and they just want to cut down any possible like community-based thing or modding or anything like that. They just want to sue it into oblivion. So Take-Two Interactive is suing a team of developers that have reverse engineered, this is important, source code for Grand Theft Auto 3 and Vice City. So this is the RE3 project, or RE3 project. I thought it was Resident Evil at the beginning, but obviously it's not. Who have 14 programmers who have managed to, or have at least claimed to, reverse engineer GTA 3 and GTA Vice City alongside a bunch of its ports. In the suit, Take-Two state that they want to halt activities of a group of individuals, so a group, who have sought unlawfully to copy, adapt, and distribute the public infringing source code for public infringing source code for 2 classic GTA titles without the authorization of consent of Take-Two. And the problem is they're using the word copy, and if they've reverse engineered it, they haven't copied it. They've just effectively guessed really well how the code works, and I've done it that way. So they're going to have a problem proving that it was copied. So we'll see. Basically the same group. Take-Two were attempting to get it removed from GitHub, which is a source code repository platform. And the developers countersued, or counterclaimed if you like, and Take-Two are basically saying this was in bad faith because they know they're being mean, and they know they're trying to steal our shit, and they're alleging that they reverse engineered the game somehow, and they cannot be liable for copyright infringement. Kinda, yeah, if you managed to just make it yourself entirely, whole cloth, without copying anything, and it can be proved that you haven't copied it. Or more importantly, it can't be proved that you did copy it, because the burden of proof would be on Take-Two here. Yeah, they kind of do sort of get around it, maybe. I'm not a lawyer, don't know, but it feels like that's a loophole. Anyway, Take-Two go on to claim that this has caused and is continuing to cause irreparable harm to Take-Two. Really? Irreparable harm to $1 billion company? I find that unlikely. I find that very, very unlikely, considering you don't have any of the assets, you don't have any of the music, you don't have any of that, and that you actually need the game itself to run it anyway. I don't see how they'll be able to claim that somehow. The RE project does not use any leaked source or copyrighted assets belonging to Rockstar or Take-Two. You know, so they have that. The project has also added a bunch of extra features. So there's a lot of ways this is a very impressive mod of the games. To access copyright assets, players would need to own the copy of the game themselves. So that gets around them saying that they're stealing from us because players would have to have the game themselves first. The project also adds a bunch of features. New camera, lots of bug fixing, and widescreen support, which are not there in the originals. This is just basically them pointing out that Take-Two have been going on a bit of a sue hunt at the moment. They're doing a bit of a seek and destroy, cease and desist, taking a playbook out of Nintendo. But they've also tried to do this exact same thing to another group of developers who were reverse engineering San Andreas. And they were unsuccessful in getting it removed from GitHub. So chances are they'll probably be unsuccessful getting it removed again. But the lawsuit doesn't actually have to succeed for it to do something that Take-Two wanted to do, which is chilling effects. So, makers of ambitious Rockstar 3D Universe GTA San Andreas mod ceased development themselves due to increasing hostility towards the modding community. So this is what they mean when they say things can have chilling effects. This company hasn't been sued, or this group of developers haven't been sued. Rockstar haven't sent them any communique, they haven't sent them any legalese, anything like that. They are, on their own volition, stopping work on this and taking it down from the various sites and resources they have. That's what a chilling effect is they don't want to deal with the legal stuff, so they're just gonna stop. They're just gonna, okay, I don't want to get sued, so I'm just gonna stop. This is what they mean by chilling effects. So the idea that Take-Two can just sue everybody, doesn't matter if they win. It's just the legal costs themselves will be a problem. And if they already have a pattern of it, then it's just not worth it. At least to these developers, it just doesn't feel like it's worth it. Lead developer of GTA Underground announced development had ceased and all downloads hauled offline after 6 years of work. This was, their opinion, due to the increasing hostility towards the modding community and imminent danger of our mental and financial well-being. So we just don't want to get fucked over by Take-Two. That's it. We just don't want to deal with it, so we're just going to let it go, and it fucking sucks. This is textbook chilling effects, basically. GTA Underground, same thing, was pulled from ModDB, just a modding database, as you might imagine, in July due to a DMCA takedown from Take-Two. So they've already been successful in getting it taken down off various things. This is kind of just their next step, and I guess preempting Rockstar from going after them, but it's still shit that they feel like they have to do that just because there's just no recourse for a sue-happy company that has billions of dollars it can throw at the legal system. Anyway, moving on. So, Horizon has gotten a bit of shit this week. So, Horizon Forbidden West's standard PS4 version cannot be upgraded to the PS5 version, and there are no plans for an update offer. So, the only way that if you currently own a PS4 and you want to play Horizon Forbidden West, but you know that down the line you're gonna get a PS5, and you're probably gonna want to play Horizon on the PS5. You're gonna want to play the PS5 version of Horizon because it would be backward compatible, so you'd still be able to play the PS4 version. Anyway, fuck you. Pretty much, you won't be able to. The only way you'll be able to do it is if you buy the super mega awesome digital deluxe edition, virtual version, or buy the crazy expensive physical editions. The $200 collector's edition or the Regala edition was $260. Like, what the fuck? $80 or £80, even though fucking conversion rates are a thing. Exchange rates, that's the one I wanted. Exchange rates are a thing, guys. These two currencies are not equivalent, but whatever. Get fucked. The standard version only costs €60 or $60, £60, whatever. The point is, even though a lot of other games and a lot of other publishers are doing this bundling kind of thing, in that you can get the PS4 and PS5 versions for one price, or the Xbox One or Xbox Series versions for one price, Sony, first party company, are going, no, pay twice. So there are no plans for an update offer from standard to digital deluxe edition at this time. So if you get the PS4 version, the $60 standard version, there's obviously a lot of shit missing from it. You can't then just pay the extra $20 later on down the line when you get a PS5 to just upgrade to the digital deluxe edition. It's like, no, fuck you, do it now or you never get to do it ever again. And it's nice here, VGC point out a quote from Jim Ryan, who you know I don't like Jim Ryan. Anyway, we'll move on. From Jim Ryan last September, no one should be disappointed. The PS5 versions of those games, Horizon, are built from the ground up to take advantage of the PS5 feature set. And we have an upgrade path for PS4 users to get the PS5 versions for free. It's about people having choice. I'm really quite pleased about the situation. Well, that's fucking changed, hasn't it, Jim? That's not the situation anymore. Now it's not free, now it's no upgrade path, and it's fuck you, pay me. VGC also go on to point out that Spider-Man Miles Morales and Sackboy: A Big Adventure were free. They had a PS5 version for free if you already owned the PS4 version. And then have pointed out that I have pointed out also previously on this video series, Ghost of Tsushima is pulling the same shit. And it's sort of getting around it by pointing out that the Iki Island part of the Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut is brand new, so it wouldn't have been on the PS4 version in the first place, but also guys, come on, everybody else is doing it this way. Everybody else is saying PS4 and PS5 version. Fine, same price. You know, we'll just bundle it together and you play it on whatever console you own. Everyone else is doing that, but the company that owns the fucking console aren't doing it. This is some fucking shit. 505 Games accepts it didn't handle Control's next-gen upgrade in the best way. So why do I have this story here? Because it's highlighting the exact problem that Horizon is having. And 505 Games are basically saying that was a mistake, we shouldn't have done it that way. So if you don't recall, Control, very good game, came out kind of late on PS4, but well before the PS5 was even announced or shown off or anything like that. And if people wanted to get the PS5 version of it, they couldn't. There was no free upgrade path for them to go from launch day Control to get the PS5 version of the game. If you wanted to, you would have to buy the Ultimate Edition of Control. Right? Same shit like Horizon, kinda, sorta the same thing. Anyway, and 505 had a very, very bullshit reason, a very hand wavy, very we tried kind of thing to say why they couldn't do it, why they couldn't give the people who made the game successful, right? The original adopters, the people who bigged it up, bought it on the day, bought it launch day, launch week, launch month, whatever you want. Made the game super successful for everybody, and they just said fuck you to those people and gave the deal to latecomers, basically. Not that it should be like I liked Control before it was cool kind of thing, but you do get that feeling, and I was one of those people who bought it on the day. I saw it and I was like, yeah, I want to fly around with telekinetic powers. But apparently, like, my money's not good enough. They need more money from me, but less money from everybody else to get the free upgrade. And I did end up buying the fucking Ultimate Edition, but I think it was discounted at some point and I got it then. But anyway. Or, no, they got around it. I think they got around it by making it a PS Plus thing at one point. I think they did find a way to make it nice, or they had a heavy discount or something like that. But anyway, I ended up getting the Ultimate Edition and PS5 Control, but whatever. But basically, this is the guys from 505 saying this was a bad move. We shouldn't have done it this way, and we are absolutely apologizing to the people we fucked over for doing it. That's important to know, because later on in the week, Sony went, you know what, sure, why not just have it for free? Because they got so much shit for doing this. So much shit for, one, going back on what Jim Bryan said and saying that it would be free. And also that every other publisher is doing it this way. Why aren't you doing it this way? You know, games that launch on last gen and current gen, every other publisher is going, just buy it as a bundle, it's fine. And only Sony are the only ones doing it this way. But they've U-turned now to say that if you buy Forbidden West on PS4, you will get a free upgrade to the PS5 version. You don't have to pay for the crazy Ultimate Edition or whatever. Good. Right? So we have successfully bullied a company into doing what we wanted. But they've added a kind of shitty stinger here, and it's that going forward, all cross-gen first-party games, including the God of War sequel, Gran Turismo 7, and whatever else comes out after them, you'll need to pay an extra $10 to upgrade. Whereas other companies aren't doing that, right? They're foregoing the $10. They're just go and pay it on whatever console you have. It's still shit. It's good that they haven't exactly fixed it, the problem with Horizon, because like it should never happen in the first place. Like they had committed already last year to saying that the upgrade would be free, and it will be now, because they've gone back. Like last year we made a commitment to deliver free upgrades. Like, you know, they went back and went, oh yeah, our fucking CEO said that it would be free. Oops. better fix that. But tacking on this $10 upgrade thing is really shit. Like, a lot of games, I don't know how I want to say it, because there's like in a lot of ways the PS5 versions of some of these games aren't hugely different, right? They just add some of the haptic feedback for and a lot of games don't even do that. They're just like upping the graphical quality to 4K, and the human eye can't really tell the difference, to be honest. Like, it would be very difficult for you to tell there was a difference unless you have the screen on your face. Like VR, like you would absolutely be able to tell the difference in VR, but you're not going to tell the difference in a standard television. So adding the extra $10 is kind of bullshit when there's no actual change in the game. It's just been optimized for PS5. That should be free. Like if you owned a PC game and it was being optimized for the latest graphics card or whatever, it would be free. It would be a free patch. Like it should be the same deal here. Anyway, okay, so last thing. So this is kind of another shot at games preservation. Metal Gear Solid 5's PS3 and 360 online servers are being terminated. So this is the Phantom Pain. So the single player game itself won't be affected. You'll still be able to play that, although there is the kind of nuclear proliferation meta game that goes on with that. That will probably be affected. Because that would obviously require an online server. But Metal Gear Online, the kind of spin-off that was kind of included with the game, will not be playable on PS3 or 360 as of 31st of May next year. So June next year, more or less, you won't be able to play Metal Gear Online on your PS3 or 360. Now, you could argue that that's so, like, this game's so old and that's so long ago, and it's on a system that hardly anybody plays anymore. I'm sure they don't even make PS3s anymore or whatever. What's to stop them from just moving that onto PS4? You know, what's to stop them from just saying the same thing? Metal Gear Online for the PS4 and the Xbox One also is going to be discontinued. There's no attempt to preserve the game anywhere. They're just going to shut down the servers and that's it. Get fucked. You know, if somebody back in like 10 years from now wants to go, oh yeah, they did that thing in Metal Gear Online, it turned out really well. Here, let me show. Oh wait, I can't show you because there's no fucking way for me to do it. I can't just boot it up and have you run through this section that was something like we want to try in our new game, but we can't because I can't show you what it looked like. Or even historically what it looked like. Or even I bought the fucking game and I want to play it. You know, it's only because it's a free thing. Like, ostensibly, Metal Gear Online is free in that you bought Metal Gear Solid 5 and they threw in Metal Gear Online with it. It's not really that though, right? I mean, if you had Call of Duty or whatever, right? And they just decided, we're gonna discontinue the multiplayer, which has still got the single player campaign. People would be fucking pissed, right? If you wanted to do a historical thing for Call of Duty and it being like a super popular multiplayer experience game and you couldn't go back and show people it because the game had been discontinued, servers have been taken offline, there's no way to play it. That's what I'm talking about with like game preservation. Anyway, they have a bit of a timeline on how various things will stop, so you can't buy any more things in the shop as of now. The DLC will stop being sold at the end of November. The game will no longer be available to purchase beginning of March of next year for PS3 and 360. And then finally, the end of May, the entire service disappears. I mean, you'll still be able to play the single player game, but I mean, you know, it's a good game. But the value of your purchase has significantly diminished because they've cut out a sizable chunk of it. And that's just a big problem with digital storefronts and game preservation in general, and having your game be a live service in that it can be quickly just disappeared from existence and no one will ever know about it. Anyway, we'll finish off with a bunch of dumb shit. So, some dude decides to crash a German TV show and be like, "Where's GTA 6?" Now, let's be clear. The show has absolutely nothing to do with Grand Theft Auto. This just random dude decided to run on and be like, "Where's my GTA?" So it's just a video, all in German, I suppose. And this guy runs on and he's like, "What I want to know is, what's the deal with GTA 6? I've been waiting 8 fucking years for GTA 6. Where is it?" And then he points to the camera for the host to be like, "So where is it here?" He runs on, he's like, "What I want to know is, where the hell is GTA 6? I have been waiting 8 years for GTA 6. And then he did that thing where he points to the camera and he tries to get the host to be like, "Ask where GTA 6 is." And he goes, "No, I don't have to do that. I haven't even finished GTA 5 yet." That's brilliant. That's some great quick thinking from the host. He is eventually ushered off the stage by security, as you can see there. It's like, why this show? Why, like, what? What possessed you to come on and ask about GTA 6? It's fucking weird. Okay. Dentist, trying to drum up some business, I guess, has decided that if you can beat him in Smash, he'll give you a free cleaning, free teeth cleaning, whatever way you want to put it. I know it's kind of fun, and it's, there's stipulations or whatever, but I think it's kind of fun that, like, it's one, getting people to go to the dentist who, don't want to, because the dentist fucking sucks, but, like, in a way you can get a bit of fun out of it by playing a bit of Smash and so on. And he does do, like, fucking tournament rules. Where is it? Stock 3 battles, 6-minute time limit, no items, final smash, or no items, no smash, final destination. Like, it's hardcore Super Smash Bros. Stuff. I just think it's kind of funny. But at the same time, would you want to get your teeth cleaned by someone you've just bodied at Super Smash? He's gonna fucking piss. Fuck you, clean your fucking teeth. I was like, I'm sorry I picked Fox. Okay. So, I'm questioning about whether to put this in dumb stuff or industry bullshit, but anyway, Fortnite disables dance moves in Martin Luther King Jr. tribute. So if you don't know, Fortnite are doing a March Through Time exhibition, I guess, which is highlighting Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech and a bunch of other things around the civil rights movement. But of course, people are going to be people, and they're going to take the piss. It's always going to happen. So they've got people doing, like, ridiculous dances, and, like, they're doing their emotes and the sprays and stuff for Fortnite about the place. So it's like, obviously it's disrespectful and whatever, but also the reason it's in dumb stuff is, like, how did you not see this coming? How did you not see that this would happen? This was obviously gonna happen. Why didn't you disable them way beforehand? Anyway, they disabled basically every emote except the ones that are specifically for the event or whatever. And it's in dumb stuff, not to be like what they're doing is funny or whatever. It's kind of funny, but that's not what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at, it's dumb because Epic didn't see this coming. Like, this was definitely gonna happen. It's just stupid that they wouldn't have done it ahead of time. Okay, then last thing. So No Man's Sky released Frontiers, which is their latest expansion, and No Man's Sky's been getting a ton of updates. I really need to go back and just see how crazy that game has gotten at this point. But before it was released, there was a modder going around and kind of saw, like, jokingly threatening Hello Games that he would just keep modding in Sean Murray's face into various things in the game until they release the expansion, basically. I think they announced it a while ago and it'd been kind of delayed or whatever, and he's just going, I'm just going to keep putting Sean Murray, who's like head of Hello Games and more or less the face of No Man's Sky, into a bunch of things. So he's putting him in, like, different animals there. He's got the character, has the head modded into the helmet. There's a bunch of other things where he put the face on the car. He put it into this distorted kind of texture thing. put it into different creatures, all sorts of different texture stuff, and you can ride them around on different things. This article's a bit old because he's done a bunch of other shit since then. So I am following the No Man's Sky Twitter account. I don't know why, because I don't even play that game that much, but it's kind of funny, and the stuff they tweet out is interesting. And I suppose it does get me thinking about going back to playing the game, but whatever. He's put it in fucking everything. He's put it in like space stations and the spaceships. He's put it in the textures for the grass. It's everywhere. It's fucking hilarious. Just watching it. Just watching it in the GIFs and stuff they put out. And Hello Games are kind of in on it. They're tweeting it out and being like, gasp and so on. But you know, they're in on it. They think it's funny. The expansion's been released at this point, so hopefully his threat is going away, but we don't know. Alright, so that was the news for the 30th of August to the 5th of September 2021. So getting a look at Dead Space, like way ahead of when it's actually going to be ready. It's interesting in that the industry doesn't typically do these pre-production reveals. It's very rare. They're almost always in-house or leaked. And that's cool to see it like ahead of time, but it's also... There is an issue in the industry where they sort of drag out hype, like they prolong it to the points that people just get fatigued by it, and they're just like, I don't fucking care anymore, just bring the game out. Or, you know, the opposite, where they're just sick of hearing about it and they just tune it out, and like hype for the game just drops off. Like that can happen if you show too much too early. So that's always it's always a trade-off they have to go to with these kind of things. But it is interesting that they're showing it off. It is like a remaster kind of thing, so they're not like tipping their hand here or anything. Like people are well aware of how the game looks and how the game works. So, or if they're not, they can literally just go get Dead Space 1 and check that out. Sorry, I'm skipping ahead until they get to the part where they fight the necromorph. Okay, cool. Then having a bit of look at Midnight Suns. As I said, that trailer sort of condenses a lot of the things they talked about, but they go into like considerably more detail in the presentation they had there. So if you're interested, you can check that out. But there's also like, they're gonna do like a proper mission run through this week at some point, and I'll probably talk about it in next week's video. So I know you might want to hang around for that. New releases. KeyWe looks cute, but at the same time, it looks like it's a kind of co-op sort of arcadey type thing, which I'm not really that into. I was sort of hoping it would be a kind of Animal Crossing Stardew Valley kind of thing, but it doesn't look like that's what it is. It looks like it's more of an arcadey type thing. PS Plus games. I have Hitman 2 already. I'm pretty sure I have Overcooked, but I've no interest in playing it by myself. There's that. And Predator Hunting Grounds is an asymmetric thing, which I'm happy to watch, not all that interested in playing. And Games with Gold, they don't have an Xbox. This doesn't bother me, but Zone of the Enders is really good, and you should check that out if you get a chance. Industry-wise, it's good that Sony did their U-turn on Horizon. It's a bit shit that they had to do it in the first place. They should have been aware that there was an expectation that the upgrade would be available for people. So that's shitty. And then it's even extra shitty that they've tacked on this $10 upgrade thing. Now, it won't affect me personally because I have a PS5, and chances are any first-party Sony stuff I'm almost certainly going to be playing on the PS5. So while it doesn't affect me personally, I can see it being a huge pain in the ass for people who want to update their libraries. You know, they buy the PS4 games as they come out because they don't own a PS5. And chances are a lot of people don't own PS5s because they're kind of hard to get, you know? So they're gonna get their library, their PS4 library, and they're gonna wanna, you know, play those games on PS5. And I'm sure I have my big, nice, shiny new PS5. I want the PS5 features of these games. Fuck you, $10 per game. That's shit. That is a shit way to treat. What are your loyal customers? Like, they bought the console and they're buying your games, and you're still trying to get more money out of them. When no other publisher is doing this. That I know of. It's hardly possible there is, but I'm not currently aware of any other publisher who's pulling this shit. other than 505. But they've learned their lesson. Like their Ghost Runner is a free upgrade for PS5, and that's 505 games. So we're kind of hoping they've learned their lesson there. Anyway, that was the news for 30th of August, 5th of September 2021. Let me know what you guys thought. Let me know what you think about Dead Space or Midnight Suns or any of the other stuff that was going on in the video. Up on the channel, I've been continuing Plague Tale. We're about halfway through. I made good on my threat to release 2 parts last week. I will attempt to do the same this week because I don't have a one-shot like 4-bit game that I want to play right now. So I will probably double up on Plague Tale again this week. And I will do my best to get the games of April out quickly now because I have footage for all of those games that I wanted to look at. I was waiting on getting some footage for Nier Replicant, and I did get pretty deep into playing Returnal, and I didn't want to give my thoughts on it until I'd properly finished it, which I have now. Platinumed it, actually. I'm never playing that game again, which you can find out why I'm in the games of April kind of stuff. Anyway, that's all from me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.